It just helps though.
I know I missed a few people because I got I
'Cause
came up.
I usually go around and take pictures of their nameplates, but somebody could walk in at the 11th hour.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, February 7th, 2023, and I'm welcoming you to a meeting of the Council of Governments of Manatee County. It is an absolutely beautiful day today in Manatee County, and we're going to start this meeting the way we always do here. We're going to start by honoring God and by honoring our great nation. So, School Board Chairman Chad Choate will lead us in prayer, after which Marine Corps veteran and acting County Administrator Lee Washington will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are able, at this time, please stand.
It's fancy here in the county. Bow your heads with me, please. Dear Lord, thank you for another beautiful day here in Manatee County. And thank you for bringing us all together so we can convene with each other and discuss the items that are at hand and work to make this place as best as we possibly can for the works for you and for the works for the Manatee County residents. Pray for safe travels as we leave the meeting tonight. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, gentlemen. So the microphones we sort of have to share. We only had so many. We couldn't get the Civic Center today, so we're making do. They actually pick up pretty well, so you don't have to get too close to them. You'll kind of feel it out there. You don't need to eat them. We're going to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves. We don't think that we got everybody logged in as they came in, so we want to go around for the record and have everybody introduce themselves. So we'll start with the gentleman to my left.
Bill Clegg, County Attorney.
Gene Brown, Mayor, City of Bradenton.
George Grizz, County Commission, District 7.
Chad Choate, Chair, School Board.
John Chaffee, Braden and Beach Mayor.
Amanda Ballard, County Commission, District 2.
Mark Short, City of Anna Maria Commission.
Josh Kramer, Braden City Council, Ward 3.
Ben Rigney, West Manatee Fire Rescue Chief.
Lee Whitehurst, East Manatee Fire Rescue Chief.
Gary Lawson, Commissioner, East Manatee Fire Rescue.
Lee Washington, Acting County Administrator, Manatee County Government.
Dr. Christoph St. Louis, Assistant City Administrator, City of Bradenton.
Terry Schaefer, Commissioner, Holmes Beach.
Jason Bearden, County Commissioner, District 6.
Mike Ron, Manatee County Commissioner, District 4.
Pam Coachman, Bradenton City Council, Ward 5. Just skip, sir. I'll forgive you.
You got it, honey. Go ahead, Mayor.
Shirley Groover Bryant, Mayor, City of Palmetto.
That's a hard act to follow, Mayor.
Do you want to?
Commissioner Vanessa Ball, District 5.
Councilwoman Mary Ann Barnaby, City of Bradenton.
All right, thank you, everyone. Our apologies, Mayor. We don't do things like they do in the city of Bradenton. We'll make sure that you're recognized always.
Mayor, we'll have your back.
Okay. So there are 3 agenda items today.
I'm going to remember that.
Hey, John. Snooze, you lose, buddy.
We have 3 agenda items today. Number 2 and number 3 are probably going to consume a significant amount of our time. But I wanted to address number 1. I'm not really looking for any action from you folks, but the county has embraced this issue, and it's the state of foster care in Manatee County at this time. And since all of our municipalities and all of our constituents, have some percentage of children in the foster care system, it's something that impacts, every single one of us. And in addition to that, foster care it's not an entitlement, not by any means. We talk often about health, safety, welfare, the fundamental reasons and purposes of government and why government exists. And these children are, by definition, wards of the state. They are not the responsibility at that point of anyone other than the government. So this is a fundamental purpose of government. So I'm just going to read from the document that you all have so that anyone who may be watching, people probably have something better to do with their day, but if they are watching, they can know what we're talking about. Manatee County supports the Florida Department of Children and Families' invaluable role in overseeing the care and placement of the estimated 23,000 children in Florida's foster care system due to child abuse or neglect. Manatee County, which ranked in the top 4 counties in Florida for child removals in both 2018 and 2019, also supports immediate, equitable funding for the child welfare system, which has been insufficiently and inequitably funded by the state for many years. Specifically, Manatee County supports a state funding formula that does not rely on risk pool funds, but adequately and equitably distributes state funding to support community-based care-led agencies that provide child welfare services in our community as intended by Senate Bill 1326, which was passed during the 2020 legislative session. Insufficient and inequitable funding leads to increased caseload sizes for case managers, less ability to focus on prevention and diversion services, keeping children out of foster care, and a general lack of availability to be flexible when responding to child welfare needs in the community. And to sort of summarize the issue that we're facing, it is a funding formula problem. The funding formula is essentially based on population, and it's not based on need. It's based on the overall population of the county or of the district. So to help you grasp an understanding of this, Miami-Dade, which is a fairly affluent county and did not suffer from the opioid crisis in the terms that Manatee County did, has far fewer children in the system, but has a much greater population. So they're receiving funding at a rate of about $27,000 and change per child per year. We're receiving funding at a rate of $16,000 per child per year. And the only ones that suffer in this situation, obviously, are the kids. We're paying case managers. We're starting them out at like $40,000 a year. They're starting them out at $57,000. I mean, it's really difficult for, obviously it's a job of passion, right? They're not in it to get rich, but at some point, people do have to pay their bills. They're also dealing with much lighter caseloads than our folks are. And all this adds up to, a lack of service for our kids, ultimately. It's even reached points where we have judges, case managers, people at the top who are making decisions on whether or not to remove children from homes, making very difficult decisions and possibly not taking children out of homes that they should because we don't have anywhere to put them. We end up having to break up families. I mean, it's almost impossible for us to place 3 kids into a single home at this point. And if you're gonna have to break up siblings, that weighs heavily on people who are making these decisions. And I know we have a couple people here who are quite knowledgeable on this, and this is really just sort of a public safety announcement to some extent, but I know that Commissioner Baugh, Commissioner Ballard, both know about this very well. Mr. Washington handles this for the county. So all of them are very knowledgeable on this, and so I'm probably forgetting something, and I'm sure there's more that they want to add. So Commissioner Ron, you're waving your sign over there. I'll let you go first.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I could tell you I see this firsthand as the chair of the board for the Safe Children Coalition that services is the foster care for Manatee, Sarasota, and DeSoto counties. We fall under the 12th Circuit. We are vastly underfunded compared to other parts of the state when we have more kids in our system. Commissioner Ballard could tell you about the children that she sees when she was a child advocate attorney in the 12th Circuit. The chair is correct. We have children in our system that are being placed in foster care that need to be still with their parents, but sometimes we got to pull them out and put them in this type of care. The issue is we're running out of foster parents. We're running out of shelter. Our shelter for the Safe Children's Coalition is up in March. We had to buy another piece of property in Sarasota County. It'll house about 20 kids. But realize, too, that kids are aging out of foster care also and getting into the system and getting out into the streets. We have children also that are special needs children. One we have right now that's in a special facility in Utah that's costing the Safe Children's Coalition $900 a day. $900 a day. I mean, you can stay at a pretty nice resort for $900 a day. And we have a young lady that's out there because no system, no facility in Florida would take her. She was that bad. So there's a giant need out there for funding. The system at DCF is incorrect. It's wrong. We've been fighting it for years. We consistently have to go, the Safe Children's Coalition has to consistently go and get back our budget. We have to back the budget because we run out of basically out of money, and we have to go to Tallahassee to beg for money to support our kids. So the most important thing I think we have to do here is to support and help and get funding for the most risk children that need it. And that's our foster care children that are here in Manatee County. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Ballard.
Sure. So for those of you who don't know my background, before being elected, I spent my entire career as an attorney with the Department of Children and Families, so working in the foster care system, prosecuting cases of abuse and neglect. I did that for about 8 years. And doing that work, I worked very closely with our social workers and a lot of times with the foster children as well. And what both our chair and Commissioner Ron have said thus far is true. We are suffering greatly with a lack of social workers who can do the job, who can stay, because it is trying work. These are frontline workers. These are workers who are put in very, very dangerous situations regularly. They're going out to homes in the most dangerous communities that we have. And they, unlike some of our law enforcement officers, they don't have any means necessarily to protect themselves. It's very emotionally trying work. And unfortunately, with the way that the formula is structured right now, we're not able to pay these workers the kind of pay that they need to actually stay in the job. Because a lot of times these people they're people who have just come out of school. And they think, I want to be a social worker, I want to do good for the community. But it's really hard to know what that work actually entails until you're doing it. And with the way the funding is right now, we are not able to pay these workers a wage that is going to make them stay in the work. I will also push back a little bit on something that Commissioner Van Ostenbridge said, and that is that we're leaving kids in homes where they shouldn't be because we don't have foster placements. I can tell you that doesn't happen. I mean, the safety is the absolute first priority. But unfortunately, what we did end up seeing is kids being placed out of county. So kids being placed down in Northport, kids being placed in Hillsborough County, kids being placed so far away that it's almost impossible for their parents to actually visit them. And it's meant to be a rehabilitative system to put families back together. And when you're breaking that bond by having the children so far away that it's impossible to visit on a regular basis, it makes that rehabilitation and that bond a whole lot harder. So those are just some of the kind of on the ground things that people might not see if they haven't worked in the system. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Chairman Choate.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to jump in from the school district standpoint, and this is something that I've spoken with a couple foster parents actually in the system now that obviously have a couple kids of their own. Some of the concerns and the reason I'm glad this is brought up in today's agenda is as the county pushes for more funding, I think we all need to work together to make sure that the funding is there, fantastic. But what about the procedures and the policies that are in place? How can we make those better for the students? A lot of times, obviously, there's a lot of time and energy for the students, and Commissioner Ballard would know more than me, in the court systems, having to go to the doctor and visit those things. They're out of school, they're out of place. How can we possibly get some of those services to come to the school? Perhaps. So we're not taking kids away from schools that they were from and moving them to wherever their foster parent is at. They're already in a lot of stress and emotional issues with leaving their homes. But I want to make sure that the school district, you have my utmost support to collaborate together with this, and however that looks. I know we're kind of in the infancy stages here, but it's the funding is key. But I think the policy and procedure and making sure that the school system is reporting, doing what we're supposed to be doing on our end. So I want to make sure we all work together to solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Baugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Choke, I could not agree with you more, and thank you for your words. I think you hit it right on the nose. I can tell you that we just went to the Board of County Commissioners. We went to Tallahassee, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. This was a hot topic for us. And to be honest, it looks like that they're probably not going to change the formula in this session. It's pretty involved. It's pretty complex, we're hearing. And so I don't know that we're going to have any relief for our kids here in Manatee this year. But we're working on it hard. But if all of the municipalities that's in this room, including the fire districts, if we could all work together, we all talk to our legislators, we all talk to, and sometimes go to Tallahassee, we need to make this a big issue for our children in Manatee. I mean, it is a serious problem. So, Chairman Choke, I think that, you'll find our chairman is really open to trying to figure out how we might be able to improve what we're doing here to make it more efficient. And, I look forward to being a part. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And we were essentially told when we were up in Tally that it's a zero-sum game, right? So we're not asking for additional funds. We're asking for the pie to be divided up differently. So you end up with literally half of the districts or half of the counties resisting that, and the other half, of course, wanting it. The only county that had lower funding than us was Pasco. Particularly down in Miami, they're fighting us on this, obviously, and they're pretty powerful. So that's sort of the issue. So the legislative route may not be our best strategy. The governor is quietly overhauling DCF right now. And so we were encouraged to try to work through the governor's office and the lieutenant governor's office with them to try, and with DCF directly, to try to come up with, sort of convince them through the bureaucratic process to change the formula, or to at least bring it to the legislature from that end. Councilwoman Barnaby. By the way, if you all want to speak, you have the comment card, just wave them and I'll write your name down and we'll have an order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, how many of us here have ever been a foster parent?
Wow, Seamus.
Notice whose hand's up, though. And I'm not saying this. I'm saying I have lived it. I have been through it. I went through 8 social workers in less than a year. I will be happy to talk with anyone privately about this. But we need to do something.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Ron.
Just to let everybody know, right now, just in Manatee County, the kids in foster care is 830 kids right now in foster care in Manatee County.
And I did write down bringing services to schools, Mr. Choate. But in addition to that, maybe we need to start some sort of a campaign that includes all of our governments to like a positive, proactive campaign to encourage folks to become foster parents and sort of bring attention to the issue, teach them how to become, what are the proper avenues, and sort of get them engaged in the right direction if people want to become foster parents. That might be something that we could all, cohesively do. So just an idea. All right. Are there any further comments on foster care? Okay. Mr. Butso. We're going to move on then to major road projects in Manatee County. And I appreciate you all, lending us your ears there and being attentive to that issue. So Chad Butso is the head of public works for Manatee County. We have obviously the big 6 road projects, but we have other major road projects in the county as well. And so he's going to go through all of the major road projects that are taking place in Manatee County at this time, which affect all of us.
Thank you. Take care of it. Got it. Good afternoon, everyone.
Chad Butzo, Public Works Director for Manatee County. Lee, great to see you here. For all the electeds, welcome to the 5th floor. Actually, I thought it'd be a lot fuller around the table. I thought the last time we did this, we barely had room. So welcome aboard. We'll give you a fly through some highlights of our capital improvement program. And it is by no means a complete list. This is a very big highlights of what's going on. A lot of things that we talk about are the new things, what we like to refer to as the big six. But before we even started talking about those, we want to remind some things that have been in the works for a number of years and are finally imminently active or are active right now at the moment. So just the order of the presentation, we'll talk through quickly items that are ongoing right now. And then we'll move into the newer projects that what we like to highlight that didn't exist until June 16th, 2021, a date that will live in my memory very clearly for a long time. Who in Manatee County can say they never heard of 44th Avenue? So 44th Avenue has been in the comprehensive plan for an awfully long time. It was around even in the pre-planning days for the county, but earlier in the 2010s, we started working our way east. And where we're at is we're in Project 5 there with the orange line segment. Everybody knows that's the major work to get us across the Braden River. And we also cross Morgan Johnson Road, and it actually continues all the way over to Creekwood Avenue. So currently, the completed section of 44th, you have to get as far, if you're coming from the east-west, you have to get as far as 45th Street East before you can jump on 44th. But our plan is, hopefully by the time school starts in the fall, we will have this open, and you would have that opportunity to get on it from either Creekwood, Caruso, or Morgan Johnson Road to have that extension. The intersection at Morgan Johnson will have a new traffic signal, and the intersection over at Creekwood Avenue will have a new traffic signal. What we did there, people have driven through there, it shows, so we've kind of realigned Caruso Road over to the west, so it's more of a squared up intersection with where Morgan Johnson naturally was on the north. And we've called that the Morgan Johnson extension and kept Caruso as far as street naming goes. So that's the intersection of Morgan Johnson and 44th Avenue is what that is there when we do open up. Critical component within that project that's great for the community is also the new water line that is placed in the center of the bridge deck. That will, when it's brought online, will greatly relieve the pressure and the concern on that temporary repair we had to make on that underwater line under the Braden River. So great things coming forward also. Probably the one thing that we also need to talk about is how do we finish? So the last phase, believe it or not, is in the beginning of the end. So on the board meeting just passed, the first of several guaranteed maximum price packages were approved by the board. That means we have selected a CMAR contractor, a construction manager at risk, to construct this last phase. We decided to go that way because there's a lot of staged work that can be done, and bidding doesn't allow that to work so well. We have the bridge over I-75. There's some major structural steel that needs to get ordered, so that works very well with a CMAR, where as soon as those plans are approved, we can place the GMP for just the steel and get those things on ordered. We also need to, as we move east from the interstate, cross a big wetland area and also build a causeway across the effluent pond of the Southeast Wastewater Treatment Plant, and then go over some more lower areas and connect to, we call it Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, but 44th is stubbed a little bit to the west of Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, but make our connection there at the very northeast connection. The commercial park, Technology Drive to the north, and Rosedale to the south. That's where 44th will make its final terminus through there. What's not shown on here, but will show on a different plan, is our connection with where Lena Road crosses is planned to be a roundabout. There, I'll cover that with another drawing later on. Within our legislative request and platform this year, we're requesting $10 million from the state to be helped towards this. While it's not a binding cost, we saw our preview of what the last phase of construction is going to be, and it's awfully close to $100 million. So it will be one of those things where we'll be all happy when it's done, but it is definitely not coming in cheap. And we'll be working with Sheila and our fiscal services department to put together the final funding plan. Another major thing that's well underway is in Jump to North County, Moccasin Wallow. I affectionately called
Could
it
you go back? I'm sorry.
back one. Yes,
So on project 5 in orange, no, I'm sorry. I wanted to look at project 6 in blue.
Yes,
you
sir.
have, there is a little tail that comes down to the south, just east of 75. Is that Lena?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Going through, because 44th was well underway. It was an existing project, deep into the preliminary design, trying to decide, go around the effluent pond, go across the effluent pond. And at the time, Lena was added as a thoroughfare. We were looking at all the right-of-way needs. Lena crosses the same conservation easement that's in the if you remember, maybe we've had some calls about mud bogging in an area at the north end there. Lena uses that same land. So at the same time that we would build the roundabout, that segment of Lena makes the most sense constructability just to be built at the same time as 44th.
So you're just combining that segment of Lena into this project?
That tiny segment.
That's smart. Okay. Because of the wetland issue.
Correct.
Okay. That's smart. Thank you.
Moving on, jumps to North Carolina, jumps to North County. I affectionately call Moccasin Wallow our University Parkway of the North. It is a major east-west corridor that goes all the way from US 41 with an interchange at I-75 and connects with US 301. Future 6-lane planned roadway for Manatee County. In various segments, we are planned to widen this in the next few years from a 2 to a 4-lane road with proper planning of the ultimate build-out of getting to 6 lanes. So we're acquiring the land for 6, currently building 2 to 4 lanes. Segment 4 is an existing project, a 100% county-funded project. It has been in the work program for quite a while and needed a lot of things to come together, including acquiring of the land, is what's underway. That's been awarded to Prince Contracting, and they're just getting started. A lot of the extra right-of-way, if you've driven there, is being cleared, getting ready for the adjustments and the relocations of utilities to the new edges of the right-of-way. A lot of action to be taking place there in the next couple, call it 18 months. 2 good new changes there that are the big changes for the area is a fully activated traffic signal at Ellington, Gillette, and Moccasin Wallow, and also traffic signal at Artisan Lake Parkway and Moccasin Wallow within that segment. That'll hopefully take an awful lot of stress off of the current signal that's at 49th and Gateway, which was great until a whole bunch of people lived in Artisan Lakes Parkway and everybody wanted to use that very small neighborhood road to get access to Moccasin Wallow. Segment 1, so when we get east of the interstate, this was a product of the growth that decided never to quit in North County, and Moccasin Wallow needed to be improved. Had to be broken up into biddable packages, and we started working from east to west. That's hence the segment numbers 1, 2, and 3. Currently, segment 1 is awarded to Gator Grading and Paving. It begins with a roundabout at US 301 and goes to just west of Copperstone. So it's basically on the Copperstone Summer Woods border is where officially segment 1 ends there. And that is well underway with the very similar activities that you see in segment 4. All of the designs for segment 1, 2, and 3 are done via a developer agreement in a partnership, public-private partnership with the developers in the northwest corner of 301 and Moccasin Wallow. So segment 2 plans are virtually at the completion. There's some fine-tuning to be done and a small piece of land acquisition. It is our intent to bid this project later this summer and hopefully see it move into the award and hopefully even under construction by late this year. These projects on Moccasin Wallow are intended to be jointly funded. They're county local funds, but also for segment 1, we have $7.2 million worth of funding that came from the legislature directed through FDOT. Segment 2, we've already signed the agreement for $7.5 million from the legislature through FDOT, and we also are this year applying for another $7.5 million for Segment 3. Segment 3 and 2 will include the break line between Segment 2 and 3. If anybody's looked at our future thoroughfare plan, segment just to the east of where that line is Sawgrass Road on our thoroughfare plan. So Sawgrass Road is a new connector thoroughfare that connects down to Erie Road, and there'll be a new traffic signal there. Carter Road will also see a traffic signal go in with the construction of Segment 3. Anybody been to the outlet mall at Christmas time? So 60th Avenue, unfortunately, has been on our list for quite a while. We are darn the torpedoes and moving forward. We have to get this job done. We worked very hard trying to find different ways not to take land and do alternate routes. I think some of the alternate routes that take some of the congestion away between Factory Shops Boulevard and US 301 are still very good ideas, but they weren't the prime focus of accomplishing the main mission here. So we are focused and have this job broke up into 3 segments. Segment 1 from Mendoza Road south to US 301, and then from Mendoza Road north to where the Travesta subdivision has stopped construction of Buffalo Road at their last entrance. We call that the missing link. So again, that section is just as important, even though it's only a 2-lane road. It creates a new connection that will allow you to go from if you wanted to go north out of the outlet mall area to gain access to I-75 via Moccasin Wallow instead of having to go down and deal with 301 and 60th. Segment 3 is just an intersection project where we're adding a traffic signal and tuning up the turn lanes there. May be done in 2 phases. Traffic signal first. I believe we have a land acquisition to get a westbound right turn lane for west to northbound, but we're not going to hold up moving on the traffic signal till we get that done. So what's coming next is part of our process to get us ready for eminent domain, which is what is key to make these projects stay moving. We're presenting those alignments to the Board of County Commissioners come the end of February here at February 28th. And shortly be followed with the arrival of our appraisals and title searches. We will be recommending the board will be presenting to legal the information packet to consider the resolution to begin eminent domain proceedings, and that should be in summer of 23. Segment 3, we expect to bring to the board with a guaranteed maximum price for the contractor to build the permanent signal there. What I forgot to mention with a majority of a lot of these signals that are planned, we're intending to try to, between here and Memorial Day or here and beginning to start of school again in August, is have interim traffic signals at all these locations that I just mentioned. The Ellington Gillette, Moccasin Wallow, the Artisan Lakes Moccasin Wallow, Carter Road Moccasin Wallow, and even we're trying to look at this one here. One of the included in the scope of Segment 2 is a traffic signal at Mendoza and the new connection to the north of 60th Avenue, attempting to get an interim signal at that location that will work with the 3 legs and be converted to the permanent signal when the north leg is present with the construction. And if we can pull it off as well, add 69th and Buffalo Road there, also an interim signal, because when we move to our mast arm construction and have these things awarded and materials are ordered, that steel has an awfully long lead time. So if we can get the interim and get the benefit now, we're trying very hard to do that as soon as possible. Fort Hammer Road, my favorite topic right now. Everybody drives by and it's there. I want to use it. I want to be the first one. I want to lay down and use it or put my bicycle on it. But it is extremely close to being ready to open. We put in here as March. Our absolute intent is to be open just before, or hopefully not later than the day students return to school after spring break is definitely what we're shooting for. Last loose ends to tie in. And very, very much looking forward to this project. It was done in 3 segments, a partnership, again, with development in the area, a partnership with the school board that got it going several years ago, Immediately, segments A and B were under construction. B was completed partially down to the roundabout at the school to make the opening day for Parish Community High School. The rest of segment B was completed. Segment C had some serious stormwater permits that we had to go through state DEP and Army Corps, and had a lot of land acquisition issues that went through an eminent domain process that we've certainly streamlined since then, but was the main reason it was set behind the other two. And with the completion of that, we really, really hope the Village of Parish is allowed to go back to being the Village of Parish as far as the amount of traffic that cuts through the village. Something that if anybody hangs out and watches the MPO list is been on the top of the list for a very long time for Manatee County is our 15th Street East. We call it the redevelopment project. We're trying to incentivize the redevelopment of that area, improve safety, walkability, bikeability, lighting, and encourage redevelopment, and that over under blessed area down there. Just to remind everybody, it's a really big project. It's chopped into 3 segments, 1, 2, and 3, and each one of those has its own sub-phases to try to get things into buildable bites. The main reason we kept it on this list is the DOT this year has approached us to take the lead on this. DOT was originally doing the design, was going to do the land acquisition, and was actually going to do the construction. They've expressed a number of issues with fulfilling that. This year, we're working on converting that to a county project, which will allow us to redesign what they have to county standards. DOT, when they do something and they're using their resources, they have a set standard of what they have to do. And some of it can be very expensive in a construction means. We're building a local road. We may have a different standard for how high the road needs to be elevated above the floodplain. Each time in this area, stormwater is a very big thing. Everything that you fill, you have to compensate for. You higher the road, you got to blend more to the side, so it creates more land acquisition. So the intent of the county to do it is to lessen overall construction costs, lessen floodplain impacts, and lessen the amount of land that we need. It will delay the project getting to its first phase of construction, but we believe it'll be a much cleaner path to actual completion coming forward. Canal Road is something that's well underway. It's a busy diagram here. Again, it started as a single project, but we immediately determined that it was just not practical to deliver that all at one time. Various segments are at different stages. If I go from the south to the north, segment 1 roughly is 301 up to 17th Street. That goes by Detweiler's and a really busy signal that we put in a couple years ago, and thank goodness we did, because wow, I can't imagine that intersection without it at the moment. That was meant to be a temporary and be replaced as a permanent signal with the project. Segment 1 scope is to 4-lane that section of Canal Road from 301 up to 17th. As you know, 17th is also 4-lane from Canal Road west back to 41, so it does have some symmetry in there. It's a highly commercial area. We are ready to proceed with bringing we hope, working with the legal department, county attorney's office, sometime in the spring here, March or April, the resolution to the Board of County Commissioners to proceed with eminent domain. In that segment, it's all commercial properties that we need to widen that road, and eminent domain process is just the simplest thing to use to deal with the business damages through that area, and that's the way we're proceeding. Segment 2, while it's noted as under construction, segment 2, the scope north of 17th, is a quality functional improvement. So those are it's still a 2-lane road when you're done, but we're adding turn lanes where needed. We're making sure we have bike lanes. We're making sure we have sidewalk on at least one side of the road. We're adding lighting. So that's something that was done. That is awarded under a CMAR contractor, so it's a job just under $4 million. Segment 3, I do need to jump down to my last note on that slide. It just says, the exact termini of each of the segments adjust a little bit depending on funding, land availability, and constructability of the projects as we move forward. But in general, it's pretty accurate right now. We do have some adjustments we need to do. So segment 3 begins where 2 leaves off. It includes a very major point right there. If anybody remembers 39th Street on the west side and 37th Street East / Mendoza Road, they don't align. They have a good opportunity to be a connector over to 41 and to bring traffic into, let's face it, the outlet mall area. It goes all the way across the interstate and gives you another alternative to come through there. Through a previous affordable housing development on the east side of the road, north of 37th, right-of-way was previously acquired, and the plan is to realign 37th north to 39th and make those a smooth connection roadway and hopefully improve the volume of people being able to use that. Excuse me. At the time we were designing this, pretty much everybody has to admit Canal Road's a pretty straight road. And if we get the added traffic there, we obviously need intersection control. At the time, since we're designing it from scratch, we were moved to install that intersection with a roundabout. So when segment 3 comes forward, we're not only doing that realignment, but that intersection would be a roundabout for intersection control. And segment 4 is just everything north of 49th. That is an area that has minimal growth. It's the lowest of the priorities of these. We know for a fact that these segments below that will be fairly expensive. And so forth is just funding dependent on when the schedule will be and when the design moves forward on segment 4. Smaller project, but a bigger one, big important thing out in the village of Parrish. If anybody has either tried to go east on State Road 62 and make the fun right-hand turn at what used to be the pizza place, we are in the process of a project jointly funded with DOT to realign State Road 62 a little bit south behind a business at the corner there and join it up where Erie Road meets 301 and have a brand new traffic signal. The other intent of that is to work very closely with what we've done with Fort Hammer, make a very inviting entrance from 301 to Erie Road, again, to feed the development and the education center down there with State College of Florida and the Parrish Community High School. That project is underway. A lot of clearing has been done there. There are a lot of utilities and conflicts that still need to be resolved. Unfortunately, I can't promise completion of that. That's a strange way that says winter 23. So unfortunately, I can't say that one will make August 10th for school. I wish we could, but it's proceeding along as fast as it can right now. So, and that was like not an all-inclusive list, but some very important and major things I think a lot of people like to know about. The big 6, we run through those all the time. We have started them all at the same time. They roughly are all in the same schedule, but everything is a widening from 2 to 4 lanes with the exception of Lena Road, because its focus is providing a missing link on, if anybody's ever used Google or Maps, probably 2 or 3 years ago. They've gotten pretty better now, but they send you down the road. And the day I had my heart attack, the wife said Google sent her down Lena Road to get to Lakewood Ranch High School, and it didn't go through. So it's kind of frustrating. So that's the focus of Lena Road. So we'll go through each one of those. I forgot to tout. We have a beautiful, lovely new website for each of these projects. It helps homeowners and property owners know which parcels we need easements and land from. We feel like any comments, because we are making tune-ups and changes as fast as we can, because it's quite an advancement. Everything we've learned on moving these 6 projects forward is going to become our template for everything of how we do going forward. 75th Street West, reminder, it's basically from the Palmasola Canal, roughly the 19th, 20th Avenue area, north to Manatee Avenue. So it's the portion of 75th Street West that is not already 4-lane. Take it to 4-lane through there. The alignment, a precursor to eminent domain proceedings, was approved by the board in December. We have our public meeting scheduled with Commissioner Van Ostenbridge on Saturday, February 18th for the community to review plans and take concerns from the community. Currently, we're at the 60% design, just like all these projects are. And late summer, fall, we expect to have 100% plans. And bidding will be tied into more so knowing we have all the land in place. So the intent is hopefully we're going to bid on 75th Street in early 24. Working west to east, 59th Street West, big segment from Manatee Avenue all the way to Cortez Road, a major corridor that has the major regional park of the area, G.T. Bray Park, the entire medical community and hospital complex at Blake Hospital, and 2 schools. I forgot the name of the elementary school, but Suggs Middle School and Moody Elementary. Thank you. I knew it was there, a fire station and an ambulance station as well. Again, we're on the same trajectory with that project. The only difference is we've already had our public meeting. We held that at GT Bray on January 14th. And as far as public meetings go, we feel like we've got a reasonable format. And that public meeting was one of the best attended public meetings we've ever had. I think we nearly reached or just tipped 150 people that came through. A lot of times public meetings, we do them, but not too many people show up. That one, that was a very good public meeting, so we're very proud of that. Probably the main thing that we always have to remind the residents out there, we are pushing to get these projects designed, permitted, and hopefully land acquisition as fast as possible. But because 59th and 75th Street West share the same customers, if you will, as far as a major corridor to go north-south in West Bradenton, we've made that pledge that we wouldn't have both of them under construction at one time. So 75th Street West being a smaller scope, faster to complete, we've said we want to move that project first. And with the completion of that, we could move straight into putting our focus on 59th. So 59th wouldn't start until 75th was done.
And Chad, I'll just interrupt you real quick to say that not voted on yet by the board, so I'm sure that's why Chad did not include it in his presentation, but we will be coming back for an amendment to improve the intersections at Manatee Avenue on both 59th and 75th, including dual left-hand turn lanes, through lanes, and right-hand turn lanes to dramatically improve movement through those intersections. So, sorry, go ahead, Chad. And then
Absolutely.
43rd Street and Manatee Avenue, that intersection improvement is coming soon as well.
Hey, Clark, could you bring me my bottle I left on the floor back there? Thank you.
Have I driven you to drinking?
I'm just dry. I'm full of hot air, so.
That bar.
It's a tough place to work.
Moving to our industrial area over off of 301, so 63rd Avenue at 301 in the central Bradenton, Oneco area. 63rd Avenue between 301 and we call it Tuttle. It has a small connection just in the first 400 feet or so to the east of Tuttle where it's already 4 lanes. So we're taking from 301 to where it's already 4 lanes and making that 4 lanes through there. We have 2 new traffic signals being installed with this project, one being at 33rd Street East and one being at Tuttle. This project, we're having our public meeting tomorrow night. Drew a complete blank. I assume it's 7 to 9, but I haven't been scripted on that one. 6 to 8. It was in the evening, so 6 to 8 tomorrow night. Welcome to join us all, and looking forward to that. This project serves the there's a lot of businesses, believe it or not, in this area, and actually with the traffic that has been known on 301, it gives you your opportunity, whether I'm using 301, whether I'm using 41, or whether I use Lockwood Ridge Road. It makes a nice big connection through there. Again, we're on the same path forward. We're all at the same design level, and we're trying to complete the design at the same time this fall. So the Lena Road connection, the way I have this drawn here is where the arrow is pointing at the circle is where the intersection of Lena Road with 44th Avenue will take place. It was to remind ourselves that the planned intersection will be a roundabout. The idea of that roundabout is one of the hugest topics we've had in the last 2 to 3 years has been speed management on thoroughfares. And what we were deciding, especially after the design for 44th Avenue came back to a causeway coming across the effluent pond, was we had a really long, really straight piece of 4-lane divided highway and assumed speeding would be an issue. So we need intersection control where Lena Road is going to cross this road. Why not a roundabout here? So that'll help. It serves no purpose for 44th other than at least speed control and allows us to deal with that in a much, hopefully, appeasing manner. The alignment comes across a wetland area into what is now known the cul-de-sac out there south of Landfill Road. It's a little more built to dealing with through traffic. It'll be a big change for them. But trying to use the existing right-of-way that paralleled the interstate, that just wasn't something that was going to be a very useful through road. We'd have 2 90-degree turns, potentially 3, depending on how you tied back into the total north end of Lena Road. We've shown our scope going all the way up to State Road 64. That's a minor cleanup that we expect to bring to the board this spring from a scope purpose. My scope says Lena Road to north of Landfill Road. I guess you could say 64 is north of Landfill Road, but I feel more comfortable making it clear that we intend to go up there. We have some functional improvements to go up there. We want to improve the traffic signal at State Road 64 with better left and right lane access at 64. And it allows us to introduce a roundabout. I didn't include that on there. I am sorry. So roughly at the south end of just about where Coastal Orthopedics has got their building coming in there, a roundabout about there. We're going to fix the issue of coming out of Racetrack where we will have a traffic barrier that'll absolutely prevent you from making that left turn and then getting stuck in there. But the roundabout, a short distance away, will make it really easy to go right, to go left, and come out of there and improve things. So that road, we're very anxious to move forward on. The design here, when I say is 100%, is focusing on north of 44th, because I've got that segment that's south of 44th just melted into the 44th Avenue project. You really, because of the earthwork and things, those two had to go together. So again, same schedule, and this is something that can start at any time, isn't dependent on any other project. Upper Manatee River Road. There's a pretty good chance somebody sat in traffic out here at one point in time. All depends on what time of day. Go there at high noon, it's not too bad, but anywhere between 4 and 6 p.m., it's usually a little more entertaining. In recent days, it became a wildly successful functional improvement back when the Fort Hammer Bridge was built, but reached capacity a few short years later, and we're way exceeding the capacity of a 2-lane road. So the commitment has been to widen this from 2 to 4 lanes. We already have traffic signals at Greenfield Boulevard, Copperleaf, and then we also have one currently at Port Harbor Parkway. Our intention is to add one at Waterleaf Boulevard, and we will have some lane configuration adjustments at where Fort Hammer goes to the north and Upper Manatee River Road goes to the east. Being a 4-lane road tapering into those 2-lane roads, we have to do some major reconfiguration work in there. This is absolutely our highest priority project as far as if we give anybody, the attorneys, the designers, the land acquisition, the appraisers, the titles. This is our project at the moment that we're given the highest priority to. If there's any way possible, we would love to see this thing awarded, and if not, we haven't yet to be seen, see if it's possible to start construction, but maybe at least get it advertised and awarded before the end of the year. And the last one out east is Lorraine Road, the last segment between 64 and State Road 70. A lot of recent work has gone out there with the addition of the traffic signals at Rangeland and 44th. That helped do a lot of precursor work. And those are the main intersections along that roadway. That's why I don't have any new circles. There's no major access points that are taken along there. This one will have the alignment considered tentatively. We're planned for our February 14th board meeting. And we were working on setting a date for our public meeting. It hasn't been set officially yet because we need to adopt the alignment, but we're planning in the April timeframe. And again, we're at 60% design, bringing in the design there at the end. Again, as we look forward to construction of these projects, not some are too close together to be going at the exact same time. Not all are. This one kind of can go on its own. I do want to remind everybody, at the north end of this job, there is the state job that will be installing the roundabout at 64 in Lorraine. Our job is assuming we're connecting to that because that is supposed to be starting in the very near future. A road, we call it the Big Six, but we had one job that was added shortly thereafter, June 16, 2021, is Erie Road. It was a commitment to the growth in North County and not having very many thoroughfares to share the traffic on. This is going by the high school, going over to the North County Regional Park of Buffalo Creek Park from 69th Street all the way east to US 301. Again, we've broken these into two segments, one from Martha Road east to US 301, and the other one back to 69th. Along Erie Road, a lot of things have happened. We've got the sidewalk on the north side that we've very recently completed to allow connective path all the way from Buffalo Creek Park to the high school. Segment one, we did a lot of land acquisition when we were dealing the Fort Hammer project, so we know anything that's left there will need to go to eminent domain, so that should move along as quickly as possible. And we expect to bid that project to 4-lane from Martha Road to 301 yet this fall. Highly expect to see some sort of construction action still in calendar year 23. In segment two, that'll be more on the lines of the rest of the Big Six and will be highly dependent on land acquisition. West of Martha Road, it is just a large, heavy lift on land acquisition. You're pinned by the railroad to the north, so we're in the range of 65 or 75 feet of land to the south we need to acquire all the way along there. So that'll probably slow that project down a little bit. Even though we may be 100% planned, the land acquisition process will probably take a little more time than typical. What some people may know or do know, Fort Hammer Road, Fort Hammer Bridge, Fort Hammer Road, from the bridge coming north Manatee, US 301, we added it to the CIP on the January 10th Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is, at the moment, don't get too excited, he created project numbers. We created two segments, so one for a bridge and one for the road widening. There's reasons for that. Bridge has an environmental impact statement associated with it and may have eligibility for different types of funding. So we just naturally broke those things up. They're not dependent. They don't have to go together, but that's why they're there. We have funded them at the level to complete a PD&E, the preliminary idea to get your studies in place, and it makes you eligible for applying for state and federal funding by following all their rules. We're also in the state legislative platform this year. We're requesting design money for this. Our selling point on this is it is a major assistance to the congestion that happens routinely on I-75 with Fort Hammer Road. It will currently goes all the way from Moccasin Wallow through Lakewood Ranch Boulevard down to Fruitville Road. So it is a very regional in nature road with minimal effort. Manatee County could make it also 4-lane roads from 301 up to Moccasin Wallow because the outside lanes have already been built. Inside lanes are usually pretty easy to fill in there. Our plans for Fort Hammer Road long-term in the very near future, because of development requirements in their LDAs, is to connect Fort Hammer Road from Moccasin all the way to Buckeye Road. There's a small piece of Fort Hammer that isn't quite built by, I believe it's Neal Development yet, to get up to where a future middle school for the school board is going to be. And from there north, Lennar, that's working at the southwest corner in what we call IA Manatee, southwest corner of Buckeye and US 301, is required to connect Fort Hammer Road up to Buckeye. Our long-term transportation plan shows the Buckeye Road goes all the way to, not Buckeye Road, Fort Hammer Road goes all the way to the county line. Certainly a dream would make that a three-county don't use I-75 alternative if all the stars align and things come back, especially with a new interchange in the North County area. So how do you put the pieces of the puzzle together? So this is not the full and terrible commitment. Please don't say 6 months from now you change something. I know anything that what you're looking at here, something will change. But at this level, trying to begin our plan, working with Sheila, our CFO, to make sure we have all the funds at the right time in the right places and the plans, how things are coming together. Trying to think in calendar year 2023, we see it as Moxawalo segments 1 and 4 are already under construction. With bidding segment 2 during the summer, it should hit construction stage in 23. 44th, segment 5 is already under construction. We issued our first GMP for segment 6. I expect to see 2 or 3 more of those GMPs in calendar year 23. Canal Road, segment 2 is under construction. 3 is something that is just awaiting a last friendly land acquisition, and we could be ready to go to bid in the very near future for segment 3. We expect segment 1 to come out of eminent domain within the calendar year, allowing us to bid that section as well. And 60th Avenue, that is the traffic signal at 69th Street East and Buffalo Road. So that's easy enough. Like I say, we're bringing that to the board at the end of April. 2024, additional missing pieces with the land acquisition through the eminent domain process for 60th Avenue, the 2 major segments. Upper Manatee River Road will be there. So if it ain't late 23, we'll absolutely be there in early 24. Hoping the intent is to bring 75th and 63rd, and absolutely Erie Road and Lena. So right there, 1, 2, 3, almost 4.5 of the big 6 we hope to bring to the finish line and enter construction come calendar year. You got me tired. I'm sorry, getting too excited. Calendar year 2024, and try to deal with that. The 25 and the 26, they get a little more nebulous as far as where we're at. It lines up with funding availability and contractor availability. One of the things we're the most concerned about, where we were running into recently, was getting people to bid, viable contractors to come in, quality contractors that have the appropriate size and bonding capacity to do these projects. But the big thing to note with our commitment to move through the planning design evaluation for Fort Hammer, if things stay online, we stay in the progress of we commit funding to go into the design capacity and the permitting in those timeframes in 24, 25. The idea is hopefully in 26, we are ready for a construction project of either widening the road or beginning the project to head forward for the second Fort Hammer Bridge. A local project that some of you might be aware of up at the convention center, 7th Street, is being pushed around and making another connection to Haven Boulevard. That connection via the city's project is hitting at a roundabout on Haven Boulevard on the east edge of the convention center. And also at the same time, when that project comes online, the traffic signal that's been a flashing yellow on 41 will also be fully activated and put in service. I've got a couple slides here just as if anybody had questions about DOT. They're just kind of highlights, and I've got a big list in case there was a question, but I am not your in-house expert on DOT, and you've probably heard me talk long enough right now.
Okay, so if anyone is curious, we're committed to relieving traffic congestion in this county and building roads and adding lanes in order to do it. And as Chad said, he didn't even mention some major state projects in my district. The replacement of the Cortez Bridge is a major project that the state is undertaking, for instance. And I have Commissioner Baugh and Mayor Brown on the board for the speaking order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to add that most of you probably heard that our governor did an infrastructure situation the other day, and Manatee County was very fortunate to receive $53 million for a section of State Road 70 that's actually in my district, and I'm going to take it all today because Satcher's not here, from Bourneside down to 675. All of that on State Road 70, it's going to be 4-laned all the way across the state. They're doing it in phases. So that is the first phase that will get done. So I'm very excited about that.
Great news. Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Chair Van Ostenbridge. I just wanted to say thank you because as we know, a lot of county roads are in the city and kind of one of those things that as you look through, we appreciate what you're doing, and we hope in the near future you might look at 26th Street as a possible north-south road that could be on the horizon in the future, because that's something we hear a lot about. And I know it does travel a lot of buses and different things and bus stops that, sidewalks, no sidewalks on them, and we get a lot of that. So something, but I appreciate the 75th and the 59th Street, because those are major roads that travel a lot of city residents. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir. And, we could do this all over again on sidewalks. I won't do that to you. But 26th Street, where it's 4-laned, it is in the plan for sidewalks on both sides of 26th Street where it's 4 lanes, and then on the east side of 26th, it's going to have a sidewalk all the way down, just as an example for 26th Street. And then 26th Street and Cortez Road, it's in the queue somewhere way back there on CIP, unfunded, but when we do our budget this time around, I am going to try and bring that back to the forefront to have that intersection of 26 and Cortez undergo a complete overhaul. So in an effort to improve flow through that intersection. There's going to be some eminent domain involved in that. It's just part of the deal. Mayor Bryant.
The one thing I wanted to mention was, I know it's slated at some point, but the DeSoto Bridge. And I know we didn't mention anything about that. It's not particularly a county or whatever, but it does really need to be focused on. It's been a legislative agenda item for several years, and we need to do something about that post haste. And especially with the light being the signalization on 7th, it's going to be more and more of a problem. So I just hope that everybody will keep that on their radar.
The county commission had a great meeting with Secretary Perdue just 2 weeks ago about that specific topic. We spent most of the meeting talking about it, and it went very well. The design has been moved up by a full year, so they've taken us seriously on it. They know that the leadership of the county supports expediting that project. It's a huge undertaking.
It is.
That project is. So FDOT is fully aware. It's not going to be funded through appropriations requests. It's going to be funded through our FDOT district. Sure. But FDOT is aware that the leadership in the community is behind it. So thanks for bringing that up.
And if I might add, that conversation was not just with LK Nandum, but also with Secretary Perdue. They were both in the meeting. Okay. So they're both very much attuned to it.
I mean, I just knew it wasn't something we were really going to cover here, but I just always like to bring that back onto the radar for everybody here.
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room when it comes to transportation in the county. But it's certainly a much bigger project than Manatee County can chew off. I mean, Chad just went through $250 million in county road projects. Yeah. So we have bitten off we have a lot of skin in the game, put it that way, about as much as we can put in the game. Yeah. So. It was interesting, the fire chiefs, this affects your day-to-day, right, more than probably anybody else, and it was interesting how some of us would glaze over occasionally, but the fire chiefs are over there, completely engaged in this presentation throughout the entire thing, knowing every single road and every...
Keeping score.
Right, and
East
keeping score.
versus west.
There you go. Absolutely. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment before we move on to the city of Bradenton? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I've lived here all my life, and I don't think I've seen a bigger capital improvement plan in all of my days living here. So thank you for all the tough work that you're doing to help public safety and our residents of our community. Also, just wanted to ask Chad a quick question, if I may.
Oh, yes, sir.
Rye Road. I know, is there anything in the planning moving forward past 2026? Because I know that's a north-south road that is highly used, and I know sometimes in the past when the interstate was shut down, it was impacted. And so, is there any planning going forward as far as Rye Road?
The majority of Rye Road is not currently in the capital improvement plan. The commitment is to focus at the moment on Upper Manatee, North-South, and Fort Hammer. may not be widely known, but with the requests and the concerns that we've monitored over the last year, my team is working on, we're hoping to present and get approval for some interim traffic signals immediately at, again, drawing the blank on the name of the school, Gene Witt, near the fire station, and up at 675 and Rye Road, to apply some improved safety in that area in the interim.
Great. I think that's going to help a lot, slowing that traffic, a little bit, and getting some breaks,
I forgot to mention, one of the planned improvement is via developer agreement that was with Rye Ranch. So at a point with, I think, the platting of their 651st lot, they have a portion of Rye Road that they begin to improve via that development agreement that they have. And that mainly starts from 675 to just south of like where Mulholland crosses Rye Road. The way they were dealing with that, because we couldn't make them ultimately responsible for acquiring right-of-way, is they're designing a 4-lane roadway for us, but building the inside two of a future divided 4-lane. So it would, once they do that, that section of the road would have a dramatically improved feel, not necessarily the full 4-lane capacity.
Great. Thank you, Chad, for that good presentation. That was very informative. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes, thank you. Just a question on the timeline. If you have this at your fingertips of the Forest Main project on Holmes Boulevard and Holmes Beach.
I thought that might come up. So we think we're pretty sure that we could be wrapping up. We're very near the end. Major work with the underground. So when do we final the job and say we're done? We've left completely, but the major digging, we hope we're complete in the next 2 months. We are still coming back, and I want to work with the scope of the contract to see if we can repave or at least overlay Holmes Boulevard. That was a pretty new street before we made that giant cut down the road as far as our button-up plan. We're trying to see how far we can get, see what we can do to minimize our impacts on spring, the month of March, knowing how busy it'll be, but I don't have complete details on that. Someone, a business, had asked us to consider working 7 days a week. I don't have a legal means to force a contractor to do that. So unfortunately, that really wasn't an option to get going, and that just begats burnout. So you might gain a couple, 3 weeks good, but if you go longer than that, you got nobody working for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Chappie.
Yeah, since Chad's taking questions and comments.
Absolutely.
Your guys started on the gravity flow on the south end there, Bradenton Beach. I know it was only Monday, but so far so good.
I am told they found your rocks.
They have removed some of those big rocks already that we.
Jeff told me they found your rocks.
Yeah,
that you put there.
There's a lot more.
Was your initials on any of those?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. The team you have together has done an amazing job with the outreach to the community, and we all really appreciate it. It's going to be a nightmare. Everybody knows it, but it can't be helped, and we just make sure we let them know it's a county project.
Since we're there, just 2 quick updates. We're in the last phase of the Coquina Drainage Project, which is the pervious concrete. Assuming there's no major last-minute labor availability or the pervious concrete availability, hopefully we're done by the end of April with that job. In the near-ish future, we're moving forward with the commitment with some ARP money to replace the walking trail. So remove and replace in kind, same width, same location. And that'll be coming up over across this summer.
Chad, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know you worked on this presentation on Saturday, and we all appreciate it. All right, we're going to go then to the city of Bradenton. Who's presenting for the city? I feel like I'm in a land use meeting now. Who's presenting for the city?
Good job, Chad.
Yeah, great
Chairman,
job, Chad.
We're going to have our Administrator Rob Perry present for us.
Mr. Perry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, counselors, board members, chiefs, distinguished guests. Turned on my mic. Yep. I don't have anything as exciting as transportation infrastructure, but we have a pretty interesting project to talk about, and it involves the considered disposition of downtown City Hall. It's a big project. We don't have a big eastern part of the county, and the complexity and enormity of this county and the growth and the demand is phenomenal. You know, Chad did a great job with that presentation. You all do a great job with your independent governments as well as the county governance of meeting these challenges. I was in I started my career about 35 years ago living in south side of St. Petersburg with the state, and when I would come down there back then, it just was a little different. And so I applaud you for meeting those challenges and the issues that come with them. We have issues too. For our 14.4 square miles, that's basically what the size of the city of Bradenton is. And we're going to start with a video that talks a little bit about the project and kind of gives an overview on what we're looking at. So, Christoph, when you're ready, take it away. Got audio?
There you go.
No audio.
The redevelopment of its City Hall Center. This beautiful 4 acres The City of Bradenton has an incredible opportunity to transform downtown by allowing the redevelopment of its City Hall Center. This beautiful 4 acres sits on a prime spot along the Manatee River. What is in its future? The excitement of possibility is in the air.
By creating a vibrant combination of development in the current location of City Hall, an economic engine can be started.
Some combination of hotel, office space, restaurants, retail, and condominiums can be a spark to spawn development.
This development will be economic, cultural, recreational, and financial. Economic impact experts say it could generate $600 million in regional economic output.
Back in January of this year, we received 2 unsolicited bids for the city center property that were each over $10 million. At that point, the city administration team in my office began to structure what would be research and investigation into creating what the appraised property value would be, the legal issues surrounding a transaction, and the economic impact.
This engine can be a catalyst to creating well-paying jobs, adding value to the local economy, and increasing tax revenue by adding new residents, visitors, and businesses. When downtown thrives, the whole city thrives.
We don't have those Far East County lands for development and the like. As I said, we had 14.4 square miles. But what we do have, we're pretty proud of. We have a downtown urban core, and we call it our superpower here in Bradenton. Beautiful Riverwalk now extended for an additional 1.5 miles to 3 miles. We have the main street. We have the county seat here. We have Manatee Memorial Hospital, large employment base of medical, Blake on the west side, the Bishop Museum, the Performing Arts Center, the Manatee Art Center, and the like. And it really is a beautiful urban core that has a great deal of potential. And so what ended up happening was when I came in after about, I guess, I don't know, 6 months or so, it came that there was discussion about the possibility of selling City Hall. I think it had been talked about previously, and from what I understand, it was controversial even when it was built in 1995. So lo and behold, come last January, we received 2 unsolicited offers of $10 million each that we really weren't anticipating. And at that point, it became more discussed and robust as far as the possibility went. And so we had to do diligence. That meant getting an appraisal, actually, of what the property was worth. But of course, just as the accusations flew in 1995, the accusations would flow in 2022, which is this going to be an inside deal? Is it going to be transparent, arm's length transaction, and everything else? So we went outside the city to Colliers International to do that appraisal to get a fair market value. We went to Jacksonville, Florida. They have a river walk, a riverfront. Colliers office that came back, and their appraisal was at $10.46 million. But they also said it could be a lot higher because there isn't really a comparable assemblage that's known in Southwest Florida. That's how unique the property is, the 4-acre site that it sits on. We did a space study of what we have and the condition of City Hall. It sits basically at grade, base flood elevations slightly higher than FEMA regulations at the time. And so the generators that sit at base grade, the police department, if we ever got hit by a storm like they did down in Fort Myers, we would probably not have been able to operate out of City Hall. And of course, the county's emergency management center is off-site, and we would have had to pretty much move all operations there into some other city resources that we had. The space study is basically that if you move the police department and the city services functions that are currently in City Hall, you're talking about 30,000 square feet. We did legal review as far as how you could handle the disposition of that property. It is within a CRA. Interestingly enough, people think this is some new plan about City Hall. I went back and somebody called me this morning, Carl Callahan, who used my predecessor, he's city manager. He said, make sure you tell the Council of Governments that downtown by design actually contemplated urban density and downtown development back in 2009 when Realize Bradenton did the downtown by design plan. So it's been around for a while, the possibility. What we are looking at is increasing density, increasing economic opportunity, which gets to the next point, which is we've retained REC, Regional Economic Consultants. They do the economic analysis for the last 3 executive branches of government in Tallahassee for the Florida Governor's Office as well as the Florida Legislature. They gave us a tool, toured our site, got a lot of information, and the short version is they said if you build 1 million square feet, which would be about 16 stories, combination of mixed use, residential housing as it relates to condominium, hotel tower, second-story non-retail offices for the banks and the medical community and the lawyers and the accountants, kind of high-end stuff, looks out over the water, beautiful marina. You're probably looking at a close to $18 million in additional tax revenue with $600 million in gross GDP, both direct and indirect, through the construction period. After construction, the 2 years of construction, that would drop down to a continuing reoccurring number of about $300 million, depending on the size and the use. But we wanted to know what's the highest and best use. That's the answer. I think there's a general consensus that there's not a lot of crime happening down at the $1 Million Marine Basin, that maybe the police should be closer to their customers where they can get out and community police. I think there's a general consensus that maybe we shouldn't be as city government officials in, again, a fairly upscale, walk out your office door to the marina type of place. I like it. I run there quite often on the river walk and the like, but I think it's better suited for a higher and best use purpose. And so as we work forward, the next thing we did was we looked at growth factors for the city and went to the University of Florida that does BEBA, which is their annual growth assessment. The city of Bradenton, of course, we do growth, the census. We do it every 10 years. And Manatee County, the city has done well and the like, but it's estimated to be even considerably more each and every year because BEBA does that on an updated annual basis. The Bureau of Business and Economic something or other. They're called BEBR. Every state has one. And every state actually does it out of their flagship. I don't want to say flagship university because I know there's Florida State grads in here and I could cause trouble. but that's who did that work for us. At the end of the day, we put it on the street. We put it on the street in a transparent manner on a national website with a considered disposition. Tell us what you want to do with the property as far as your proposal. No financial incentives as far as any sort of abatements or rollbacks of any type of impact fees or anything else. We put that in there, and we got 5 proposals that came in. It was out on the street for about 75 days. And if we go to the next slide, this is the REC, Regional Economic Consulting Group, that gave us that report. Keep going if we could. There's some of the numbers I had talked about already as it relates to additional jobs and continuing reoccurring and construction phase spending and the like. And that's the overview right there. With the 2 highest offers we got were $14 million and $15 million for the property. They all understood that we would have to relocate. We would need time to relocate our current city hall functions as well as police functions off-site. And so we're in a kind of a predicament that we can't make a decision until we decide where to go. Police, we've got a pretty good idea. We've got architects and engineers that we've already let put on board. They're looking at the 6th and 1st Street site, right? It's actually 3rd Street. They're on Manatee as it goes out to 1st is where the frontage is between 3rd and 1st Street, where the tower is. It's the oldest tower in the city. And we own that property. And it's a good area to put a police station. It's centrally located to some underserved population areas where it'd be a good place to put public safety facilities. And we're dealing with what to do about City Hall's location. But generally speaking, the 2 proposals were $14 and $15 million. If we could keep going, this, again, potential view, I talked about that rendering. We had that made just for comparative purposes. Multi-use hotel, condo, office, retail. Keep going, please. And that is a proposed rendering on the 14th Street site we have with a potential cost of $20 million. Now, I'm not real good at math, but if you have a cost of $20 million and you don't have property acquisition cost and you get $15 million from the sale, you're talking about a pretty good opportunity of having to basically make up the delta of $5 million. This builds a city hall that would have a lifespan of about 40 to 50 years, we believe. To the right of it, basically, is a city hall that was built in Dunedin very recently up north in Pinellas County, and that cost was $20 million. It's a nice-looking facility, too. I guess the biggest thing to talk about, too, is that what about the private development? And people say, well, kind of like, old charm Florida, old, the way it is and things like that. And the reality is our planning department, just like the county planning department, is a busy place. There's a lot of applications coming in for planned developments that are coming in. And here is just a couple. We have the rendering of the Art Center Manatee, which is already in our department through SIP right now, Site Improvement Plan, and that's already funded. Next to it is the Catalyst Riverwalk project, and that whole 3rd Avenue corridor, I think probably 3 years from now, will be built out. Avenue of the Arts, we're calling it. So now what you're talking about is not just Main Street, but some of the spokes that go off it, 3rd in particular, 3rd Avenue, all the way across 9th Street, and into these corridors that really have some real nice quality of life amenities. The Riverwalk, again, I think we have about $18 million into that at this point between the 2 phases, and it's one of the nicest outdoor recreational areas probably in the state of Florida. Keep going, 920 Manatee, we deal with that all the time as we drive just a block basically to the east of this location, has some attainable housing in there. Riverview 6, which is down on 9th Street, and 6th Avenue, that has affordable housing that I know is near and dear to some of the county commissioners and city councilors' heart, as well as everybody. I think we all recognize there's a serious affordable housing issue, and we're trying to address that too. We have about 650 units, I think, that the city has funded, and several with the county, actually, as a great partner. I want to say thank you to you, the county, and their support in working with the city to deal with some affordable housing issues in a downtown urban core. And so the Astoria is I talked about that on the Met on 14th Street. That's 199 units, I believe, of affordable housing under construction currently. You see that going up. I think it's a 5-story vertical structure. The affordable components of it's mixed as it relates to qualifications under AMI, medium income, American medium income, and the like. And then, of course, we built Addison, Grand Palms. The county's intimately familiar with these projects, and we, again, appreciate our support. So when we talk about our capital development plan, we've got about five things we have to build, and they're here right now. Water and sewer. We are in a water lawsuit, and really when you talk about water and sewer, there's 3 parts to utilities, and that is sanitary sewer, keeping water that is discharged, going into a water treatment plant, part 2, and of course potable water, what we drink, wash our dishes in, and shower and the like. And so it's a major utility. It generates the city about $30 million a year. We have to improve all 3 components of it. County probably has their problems. If you talk to public utilities with I&I, everybody does, infiltration and inflow. When it rains, manholes, sewers that are older, the water comes in, it overtakes the plant with the throughput, and you're exceeding the plant's capacity. There's only one thing you can do, discharge it to a waterway. We have a permit to do that through state DEP, and we have to report on it, but we have to improve that. Ultimately, the state of Florida says that all entities, local governments, have to be out of any navigable waterway by the year 2032. And so we have a permit to do an injection well, and we probably have about $4 million into getting that permit. The injection well is probably about another 15, and we will be doing a whole infrastructure project dealing with our utilities. Tomorrow, we're basically asking permission to go to the state of Florida's revolving loan fund and to obtain about $50 million in order to build utility infrastructure that will probably put us in a very good position between those 3 components for the next 3 years. We have to up that. When you look at what the city's put into that, it's been insufficient. If Henry Ford was building cars, Henry Ford has to buy equipment that builds cars. We sell water, we sell stormwater, and we sell evacuation of sanitary sewer. And we have to have equipment to do that too. And so you can't do it on the cheap. The public might not see that, but over time it'll come back. And we have to be in a better position. Public safety, near and dear to my heart, come out of that type of background. We have a new police headquarters. Estimated cost on that is $20 million. We are well reserved. We have very little long-term debt on our books. If you're a finance person, you get on our balance sheet, look at long-term debt. Very, very frugal and prudent management in the past and currently. They've done a good job, and we need to basically continue to build the infrastructure we need. Fire stations, we're in good shape. We have Station 3 out on 59th Street that was recently completed. We have Station 2 out on the east side, and work with Chief Whitehurst and some folks out there. Appreciate you all support on all of our projects. These guys are awesome. They're always getting with us. We collaborate, and Fire Service works excellent as an integrated public safety entity. But we have some really good fire safety programs and facilities and the like. We have to keep that up. Aerial ladder trucks, all that high rise, well, you got to go buy an aerial. They're about 2 years behind. If you bought it today, you wouldn't get it for 2 years. When we had the Carlton Arms fire, I was out there with the guys, and our second truck, the transmission got jammed when they were trying to get out of this. I said, we got to get something new and everything. So, some major equipment. Talked about public works, the complex itself for municipal development. When I was with the city of Albuquerque, we called public works municipal development because that's really what it was. We did development of city infrastructure, transportation infrastructure that you just heard about, stormwater, utilities, and everything in between. Well, we're in the Crowley building right now, right across from LECOM, and we need to basically build a facility where we can engineer, design, track, and do the administrative functions and professional functions of that. City Hall, talked about that, $20 million, 15 from the proceeds. Public Safety Operations Center, out on 59th Street when we had Ian, We used it basically as a forward operating platform to coordinate with county EOC, a lot of the other local governments. Our fire folks were awesome. Our police folks were awesome. And at 6, I think it was 6 a.m. when we got the FEMA call, they said the center point of contact will be Coquina Beach. And there will be so much devastation, you won't be able to go out at first light. We had the county's first in teams as the county manager on the state plan. They control that, and they'd come over. We had planned for about 25 people. There was 50, 60 people, and it functioned as a very good forward operating coordination platform and the like. And so we convinced Senator Boyd and Representative Robinson to try to help us to get some of the money to assist the city in taking that prior building that was rated Category 4, that was the former Red Cross building. We used it as a temporary station for the PD for fire when we were building Station 3. But it's like perfect because the way it's configured, its location, it's right next to the only level 2 trauma center out at Blake. It's got LZs for landing zones. You can park probably 80 tankers there. And if we did get hit, it's a good place to have as an adjunct to the county and to support some of our local fire districts, because it's going to be all hands on deck. And if we've got to go out to Holmes Beach and help, when they call, we go. That's just the way it works. Nothing else matters. If you need help, we go. These guys are the same way. So there's a lot of benefit, I think, to everybody for that. If we go to the next one, city infrastructure, public spaces, talked a lot about most of these projects. You've seen a lot of them come out of the ground. Mineral Springs Park, the Riverwalk itself. Jim and folks over at our Public Works are doing sidewalks, as we talked about. We have different initiatives, citywide paving. And so we've got our own issues in that 14.4 square miles, and we're trying to rise to the occasion to meet them and to build for a better tomorrow, build for a place that can meet the demands of this incoming growth, this incoming demand, this just change. And whether we want to change or don't want to change, I think that people are coming here. More people doing more things. There's a very robust healthcare community we talked about and other types of industry that are coming. And so I think we just have to be ready for it. That gets to the last final kind of thing I'm going to get to. This isn't it, but why sell, basically? Because it is changing. City Hall itself, where it is, the roof leaks, there's environmental issues. We can keep putting good money after bad. Probably not the best thing. It's down, lowland, and the space study shows that the building isn't really any more efficient. But with these types of proposals, particularly in downtown Bradenton, and anywhere for that matter, when you go do community outreach, there's 3 different things. Heck no, okay, maybe. And really, it's probably on any given day. If you go to the chamber or the EDC, it's like, yeah, we understand progress. We understand the finances that work. If you go to folks that live on the outskirts of those communities, it's like, I don't know. I just don't think so because we like it. Once we're there, that's why we came. Some people have told us they moved here because of what City Hall looks like. I've never went to a place where I moved because of what City Hall looked like, but some people do. That's what they value. I think we all respect it and the like. And then maybe. But we have done over 30, I think we're up to close to 30 meetings, and we got about another 10 to do. We have websites. We've been in the community for 2 or 3 months. We've gotten all types of responses. And at the end of the day, we will listen to the community, but the community isn't just one separate component. It's the totality of the community. If we can bring in an additional $4 or $5 million in direct taxing benefit, that helps everybody. That helps Pam in Ward 5, particularly being a CRA, and it also helps because we can do some things downtown that other people in other wards are paying for. And so a good tide floats all boats. It helps the county. I think it actually helps some of our outlying neighborhood communities too. And when you look at the urban planning, it's a downtown area. Some people have sent me letters about, well, we'd like it to be like Rosemary Beach up north in the Florida Panhandle. And I said, well, Rosemary Beach is about 4,000 people. This is a downtown urban center, the county seat of Manatee County, a very fast-growing big county. and the like. And so, we have to obviously be mindful completely of everybody's opinion. The community has to be in support, but the community is not, it's not homogeneous. It's not just one thing. It's a broader thing. So that's where we are. And we're looking forward to the possibilities and the potential of this particular project.
All right. Thank you, sir. That was a great
Thank you.
presentation. Mayor Brown, did you want to follow up and add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Van Ostenbridge. Great job, Rob, and I appreciate going through that. And I think it's something that the council and as well as the mayor's office and the administration has really worked hard to get the information out there. And as you said, it doesn't always make everybody happy or everybody sad. It just kind of gives people an opportunity to listen, see what we're going to do, and then ultimately it will come back to the council to make a decision. One of the things that even today, we had our press conference for the regatta, through the county, the city of Palmetto, city of Bradenton, with the collaboration that we have there. We're putting on a show on Saturday for this county that will probably bring in close to 100,000 people and a $10 million impact to the economy. So when you look at that with collaboration, we can do a lot of things. And I think one of the things that our TDC director there said was how important it is to develop the urban cores of Palmetto and Bradenton to continue to grow Manatee County. So it's not just, the city of Bradenton, city of Palmetto that are trying to be on an island on their own. We're trying to develop our whole community. And obviously, whether you've been here a day or 7 generations, you care about our county. And we all do, and that's something that I think the citizens, the excitement of sometimes going through some things, and I asked Councilwoman Barnaby, she was kind of through some of it in the late 90s, if Facebook or neighbors would have been around then, how would it have been back then? Because sometimes the information that gets on those platforms just is not correct. So if you're out there listening or watching this, please get the correct information and then make an informed decision. That's all we ask. And we are there to listen and wordsmith through, but ultimately a decision will be made in the near future. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up because that's really why I put road projects on there as well, for the same reason, is all of you go back to your communities and your constituents and you have your spheres of influence. And I wanted to be sure that, Mary Ann Barnaby said wisely that in the absence of fact, rumor is king. And so I wanted to ensure that all of you at least had facts to bring back to your communities and to your constituents. So anyone like to add anything? Mayor Chappie?
Oh, I'm a little surprised that
Yeah, turn your-
they're talking about Mary Ann way back, and then they're saying she's wise, and
Yes, sir.
she just looks like the first day I met her. I know that. I've heard you saying you're just an amazing involved with the community.
Flirting with you.
Yes, I'm looking for allies. No, good project. It sounds great. Ninth has always been one of the things I've always looked at for in Bradenton, between the mall and downtown. There's you have so much potential in your whole city, and with the CRAs and everything that's going on, and Palmetto, just amazing work out there. We all know what it's like. This is the fun part when you get to revitalize, redevelop. So you guys enjoy it. It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
stuff.
it is fun. Not everyone likes change, but it is fun. Mayor Brown?
Thank you, Chair. And Mayor Chappie, talking about some of the affordable, attainable workforce, different types of housing that we're doing within the city. And we know it's 650 units. Some are built, some are being built. And one of the things that was proud to be a Manatee County citizen for my life and a lot of generations is when obviously the hard times have hit in some of our developers and builders that are out there, and they were able to go to our partners, the county, and work something out to continue projects that may be in the city, but the city is the county. So the county really stepped up and helped those projects to become successful. I know one we're getting ready to break ground very soon, and another one is coming. But without the collaboration, and we've got a great county commission working together, and that's important, but we work together, and that's what I've seen, and stepping up because, our city dollars, our county dollars as well when you look at how it's split up. And so thank you to the county for doing that, because that was probably 300 units that wouldn't have got built. And now they're going to get built for the ones that need it the most at this time. So just again, thank you. And we're looking forward. And it's not $250 million worth of roads, but it's working together. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, there's just one issue that commonly we encounter when we're out in the community that I just would probably redirect towards the county. Are you going to sell the library too? They ask us. I tell them the city does not own the library. No, we tell them that the county is always considering to have a downtown library, that they appreciate the need and the services that a library provides. But we actually do asked that like endlessly. Yep.
Sure. And I would just, as chair, speaking for the board, I'd say that the board has not taken an official position on that as of yet, but it will likely, be brought up eventually. And at that time, of course, the county will do what we feel is best for the county and for the city as well. So, yeah. All right. Anything else for the order of the day? Yes, Mr.
For the order of the day, yes.
Okay.
A couple quick things.
Mayor Chappie.
I just would like, is this still on? I can't tell because I'm colorblind and you guys don't. I lost both pair that were given to me, yeah. First, I want to thank the county. You guys have added three more buses to Route 3 for the change in the seasons and all the people that are trying to get out to the beach. They're here. I'm glad they're here. We enjoy them. I'd like to, for us to be able to look at the numbers at the end of the season so we can compare them. I know you guys keep track of all that stuff in your transportation department, the buses over there. I think that might help us have a better understanding at the end of the day. So that was one thing, so I appreciate that. And then the other, I just want to let you know that at your advice, sir, because that one particular day you had a commission meeting, you thought it wouldn't be a good idea for me to show up, but the 3 island cities are going to be coming to you for the surplus concession funds to make our pitch to you guys. I think you'll be very happy with what the cities are proposing to do out there, which benefits not just the island community and our residents, but the visitors that come to visit out there and also the people from the residents of Manatee County, which follows right in line with what the funds are to be used for. So I want to thank you for that.
All right. Yes, sir. And I just didn't feel that meeting was the appropriate
I appreciate
meeting. That's
the
all.
heads up.
There was a wild agenda that day.
Yeah.
So I didn't want you to get lost in the mix. And one last thing I would just say is that our water taxis are literally having the paint and the labeling placed on them right now. And so certainly by the end of the month, we expect to have them operational. So anything else from anyone else? All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Cool.
Oh, we're gonna do public comment. I apologize. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to come forward at this time for public comment?
Agenda items only.
We're talking about agenda items only. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close public comment.
Who's hosting the next meeting?
I don't know, but you and I can work on that.
No, I didn't know what the round was. I figured, I just
I
assumed
actually
you were
was
this
told
one.
we were at the end of the rotation, and
course.
so the
I
rotation
don't-
had to be set again.
I don't mind.
I was told that today.
That's cleanup.
Right
I call it
before this
cleanup.
meeting. So I will, I'll work on a schedule for a rotation. So, okay?
Cool.
You start asking questions, and it's, you're probably going to get pushed to the front of the line, Mayor. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Drive safely. We're adjourned.